The world of sports has been shaken. Less than 100 days before the start of the 2026 World Cup, one of Asia's strongest teams, Iran, has officially announced its withdrawal from the tournament. The reason was an unprecedented military conflict and direct security threats that have cast doubt on the hosting of the largest championship in history. It all began with a statement by US President Donald Trump on Truth Social. He explicitly said that Iran's participation was not appropriate for their own safety. These words were perceived as an admission that the US cannot or will not guarantee protection for Iranian footballers on its territory. But the roots of the crisis go back to February 28, 2026. On that day, the US and Israel launched a large-scale operation that changed the Middle East forever. 900 airstrikes in the first 12 hours. The goal was clearly stated: to destroy Iran's nuclear and missile industries. The strikes hit the very heart of the country. The capital descended into chaos, and the consequences of the operation were catastrophic. Iran responded with hundreds of drones and ballistic missiles, attacking US bases across the region, from Bahrain to Saudi Arabia. The most high-profile event was the death of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. His residence was completely destroyed in the initial strike. The country plunged into mourning. The Supreme Leader's son, Mojtaba Khamenei, took his place, and the tone of relations with the West became even harsher. Mojtaba Khamenei took power at a time of greatest crisis, as the war spilled over into the arena of sports. Iran's sports minister declared, "Since this corrupt government has murdered our leader, we cannot participate under any circumstances." However, the national team itself, known as Team Melli, protested. The players stated that no one has the right to exclude them from the tournament. The footballers insisted if anyone should be excluded, it is the host nation that openly admits its inability to provide security. FIFA President Gianni Infantino found himself between two fires. On one side was Trump, on the other, the rules of fair play and international obligations. At a meeting with the president, Infantino tried to get guarantees, but Trump stood his ground. Iran has no place at the World Cup. FIFA has begun an emergency search for a replacement. The list of candidates includes Iraq and the UAE, but the legitimacy of such a decision is causing huge controversy. The irony is that Iran has already invested millions in preparation. Their base was chosen in Arizona, and the team spent 18 months there. This crisis is not the first time politics has interfered with football. The history of World Cups is full of high-profile walkouts and boycotts. In 1934, defending champions Uruguay refused to go to Italy to protest the lack of European participation in their tournament 4 years earlier. In 1938, Argentina and Uruguay again missed the tournament, outraged that it was being held in Europe for the second time in a row. India's legendary withdrawal in 1950 was long attributed to a ban on playing barefoot, though the true reasons lay in travel costs and team selection. 1966, the entire African continent declared a boycott, demanding a fair distribution of slots for participation in the championship. In 1974, the Soviet Union refused to play in Chile's national stadium following Pinochet's military coup. This led to disqualification. For 20 years, South Africa was banished from world football because of apartheid policies. Sport became a weapon against discrimination. More recently, in 2022 and 2026, Russia was excluded from qualifying cycles due to the conflict in Ukraine. The distance between politics and the pitch has been reduced to a minimum. But the 2026 crisis is unique. For the first time in history, a direct military conflict has arisen between a participant and the host country right before the start. Group G, where Iran was supposed to play, is now in chaos. Matches in California and Seattle require an urgent review of scheduling and logistics. The issue of safety has become central. If the host cannot guarantee protection, can the tournament be considered legitimate? Iranian officials recall an incident at the Asian Cup where players sought humanitarian visas. They fear mass defections amidst the war. Furthermore, Iran has urged FIFA to strip the US of its rights to host the championship. This demand has been supported by some of Tehran's allies. The world sports community is divided. Some demand peace, others harsh sanctions against aggressors. Football has become a mirror of global instability. The withdrawal will cost Iran dearly. FIFA is threatening a €250,000 fine and a ban from future tournaments. But for Tehran, it's no longer about the money. For fans, it is a tragedy. Thousands who dreamed of seeing their team in America have been left with nothing due to politicians' decisions. What lies ahead for the championship? Can FIFA preserve the festive spirit as the shadow of a major war hangs over the stadiums? President Trump continues to insist on his course. His America First policy is now directly dictating terms in world football. This incident raises a fundamental question. Does football belong to the fans, or has it finally become a tool of foreign policy? The standoff between Washington and Tehran has moved beyond diplomacy and even the battlefield. Now it threatens the very existence of global football unity. Many experts fear that the 2026 World Cup will mark the beginning of the end for the concept of sport being above politics. The precedent has been set, and its irreversibility is frightening. For an entire generation of Iranian players, this was the chance of a lifetime. A chance that was derailed by orders and missiles long before the first whistle. In a world where Trump prioritizes safety over diplomacy and Iran chooses isolation over play, only one participant loses: football. The 2026 World Cup has already made history, not as a festival of sport, but as the field of the loudest political battle of modern times. What do you think? Should sport remain neutral, or was US intervention justified? Let us know in the comments and subscribe to the channel. This was Maria. Let's understand the psychology of global conflicts together. Until next time.